Hi creative friends, this is Freya and thank you so much for being here. So this is going to be part 2 of my creating first layers on a canvas, and I still consider this my first layer because I do have some whites showing through. Now I'm just going to bring this up closer to the camera, and I allowed this to dry naturally, so I hope you can see how when I allow my paints to dry on its own rather than using a heating tool, the colors are really rich and vibrant and organic rather than with a heating tool, it tends to flatten things out. So for me, it is well worth me, letting things dry on their own. So I've come back to this now after a few days, and I have set some paints aside on my palette. I've got a cadmium red light, which is actually an orange. I've got a cadmium yellow, a pink. It's called Luminous Opera by Holbein, and this is an ultramarine blue. Now, I may or may not use all of those, but I just set them out on my palette as inspiration for me to use. And I think I'm just gonna put my gold, and I have like a pinky purple as well that I might use. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I just want to add some luscious color to the mix here. So I'm just gonna go straight in with my pink and cover up some of that white over there. And just really bring in a gorgeous dash of color. I mean, not that there isn't a lot of beautiful color already, because there is, but I just want something like really, like, just that's gonna lift this up. And I'm not overthinking it because I am still in my first layers. So I'm still in beginner's mind, just kind of going with the flow. And let me see here. So I'm really loving that yellow and pink, and I feel that just by me simply adding those two colors, it's really infused this spread with a lot of energy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some, like, I've got this really gorgeous purpley pink color that I bought from Oaxaca, and I'm going to add it to my orange. And what's going to happen is, if I do this correctly and mix it in the right ratio, it's going to turn it into a luscious, gorgeous, beautiful color. Like truly delicious, like amazingly so. So see, it's like a red, but it's still like, it's not like a true red. So I'm just gonna kind of like drag it through there. And I want to lay down like really luscious, bold marks. And mix that in there. And I've mentioned this before, but any paints that I don't use, as soon as I turn the cameras off, I do go back and use those paints, whether it's on a, in an art journal or a surface or whatever. Like, I don't let my paints go to waste, or maybe a piece of collage or a lot of collage, depending on how much paint I have. But I don't know what you guys do, but I use up all of my paint and I don't waste it. So just going to get rid of the whites here. Now this is a very hot spread, so I do need to add some of my ultramarine blue here to kind of just, cool it down a little bit. So I'm just gonna drag that through there like so. just want to, you know, bring some cools into the page, because if everything is like too hot, that's just not going to be an interesting page. It's actually going to be really uncomfortable for the eye to look at it. There has to be like neutrals, there has to be some cools, and it's all about balancing everything out, which, you know, sometimes it all comes together and sometimes I have to work really hard to make that happen. So I'm just like bringing some cools onto the page, and now I think I've covered up all of the whites, so that is good news. And now I think what I'm going to do is I am going to use some of my gold paint, and I'm just going to dip it like right onto the page like so. And I'm gonna, like I do everything with everything, I try to add it on the page at least 3 times, and that moves my eye around. So I don't know if I can dip it into the blue because it's still wet, but I'm gonna try. So now what I'm going to do is allow this to dry completely, and this is, now I'm done with my first layers, and when I come back to it, it's going to be my middle layers. But if you've watched all the way to the end, this is my part 2 of my creating first layers on a canvas. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!